Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati iti namne Nityananda Kripa Patra Vrindavana Dhasa Chaitanya Lilaya Thanyo Hanaye Adivyasa Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Sri Gadadha Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Panchatapamakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you all for joining, and today we are continuing with the Chaitanya Bhagavat. We are on chapter 11, and we'll continue to read from page 141, text 71. Just before we do that, we'll just do a quick recap. And as you know, last chapter, Chaitanya Prabhu got married, and there was a great ceremony. And then now he's ready again to do his scholastic pastime. And as we know, he always challenged everybody, especially Mukunda. And then, he will try to challenge everybody. And when he will see someone, they know that they can get challenged, they will go on the other side of the road, so that they avoid him. And actually we have seen that one way or other, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that means Nimai Pandit at that time, was showing us that we should learn under a parampara. We cannot just learn like that, because when we learn, we can be very educated, we can have very nice pronunciation, we can know a lot of things, but realization does not come by just know the conjugation or how to write or read or understanding. There must be this aspect of bhakti in it also. It's only because of that then we will make progress. And we'll see later again in this chapter where Chaitanya Prabhu said, sometimes some people, they can pronounce very well, but those that are not very well educated, they are pronouncing maybe in a not very good way. But at the end of the day, Krishna is looking at the bhav of that person. How enthusiastic these people are to do the service, not to be served. And you remember this famous word by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in the beginning, just in the introduction, he started like that. We should know what is to serve and to be served. I always say that because this has really make an impact right from the beginning of the book. That means where are we situated? On this side, to be served, or we want to serve? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he bring that every now and then. And you will see that depending on where we, in our heart, we are, because sometimes we may want some glorification, we want some respect, but somebody who wants to serve in a humble way, he does not want all this glorification. And this is what we have to cultivate. We have to be a servant, not the master, not try to be the master. And Krishna knows this, especially in our heart, where we are. You will see Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati talk about this again. We will see that, about the servant to be served, and also how Krishna look about how someone is enthusiastic, to serve. Okay, we'll continue to read from text 71, and now we'll see that in this chapter also Ishwara Puri will come in a disguised way. We already started a little bit about that, and now he will go directly to the house of Advaita Acharya, and Advaita Acharya and him are like God brothers actually. They are both initiated by Madhavendra Puri. And we know even Nityananda Prabhu also is our like God brothers. And now we'll read a bit about that and to get the nectar. And then don't forget all the commentaries in this book is by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati himself. Okay, let's continue. Whoever want to any volunteer to start on text 71.
I can read, Prabhu.
Okay.
Krishna Rasa Parama Vivala Mahasaya Ekanta Krishna Priya Atidaya Maya. He was overwhelmed with love for Krishna. He was most merciful and dear to Lord Krishna. In the consideration of worshipable objects, Krishna is the topmost. Krishna is the object of 5 kinds of rasas. Sri Narayana is the object of 2.5 rasas, and impersonal Brahman is the object of only Santa rasa. But this latter rasa, Santa rasa, is often not counted among the rasas. The impersonal spiritual abode of Brahman, though situated on the other side of Viraja, is devoid of conceptions of the servant and the served. On this side of the Viraja is the Devi Dham, wherein the material sky is situated. Mundane perishable objects are situated in the material sky. In the spiritual abode of spiritual variegatedness and spiritual characteristics, the conceptions of servant and server and served are present. But in this temporary material world, the conceptions of servant and served are perverted. Relationships with Krishnas in the 5 rasas are generally extremely rare in the material world. As far as the supreme excellence of the rasas is concerned, though there is some similarity between material rasas and Vaikuntha rasas, material rasas are actually abominable reflections of spiritual rasas. That is why the rasas of this material world are known as virasa or disgusting. In the consideration of the alambana or support of rasas in the spiritual world, the visaya or object is one non-dual substance and the ashraya or subjects are many. But in the material world, we see the deviation that the objects are many and the subjects are many. In the spiritual world, the absolute truth, Vajendra Nandanan, is the only object and Baladeva is the manifestation of that object. Baladeva's 4 manifestations, the Chaturvyayu, are situated in Mahavaikuntha. Because the objects of the material world are infected with the modes of material nature, they are subjected to the agitation of time. From the viewpoint of the subjects, the controlling spirit found in the objects of abodes, such as Kailasha, contains material pride. In other words, a connection with the 3 modes of material nature is found. Such pollution is not possible in the absolute truths, Lord Vishnu, or of the spiritual world. In the material world, the impermanence of the rasas and the impermanence of the subjects and objects are abominable and contrary to the principles of the Vaikuntha rasas. Under the subordination of Sri Mahavendra Puri, Sri Ishwara Puri was the expert in relation transcendental rasas in relationship with Krishna. The service attitude of Ishwara Puri was fully blossomed due to the austerity of Madhvendra, Sri Madhvendra, and his eagerness for achieving Krishna. Therefore, he received the direct mercy of Gora Sundara, who is none different from Vajendra Nandana. Sri Ishwara Puri was completely overwhelmed with love for Krishna. In other words, mundane external feelings could not disturb his loving service. Because he was situated as the servant of the spiritual master, he was dear to Krishna, very dear, and therefore he was equally merciful to all living entities. A prime example of mercy is to awaken one's devotion to Krishna, as this is the eternal propensity of the soul. Tana vese tane kiha jinite na pare daivegiya utilena advaita mandire. Wearing that dress, he could not be recognized by anyone as he arrived by providence at the house of Advaita. Although Sridham Mayapur was inhabited by many Brahmanas and persons attached to proper codes of conduct, Sri Puripad arrived at the house of Sri Advaita Acharya, who was the leader of the Vaishnavas. He went there because persons like to associate with like-minded persons, and especially since Sri Advaita Prabhu was also a disciple of Srila Madhavendra Puri. Therefore, knowing him to be a god brother, Sri Ishwarapuri went to the house of Sri Advaita and thus proved his spontaneous attachment to his spiritual master. Yekhane Advaita Seva Karena Visvasiya Sammukhe Visvasila Bada Sankuchita Haya. He humbly sat down close to where Advaita Prabhu was performing his puja. Vaishnavera Teja Vaishnavete Nakuliya Puna Puna Advaita Tahana Panichaya. The effulgence of a Vaishnava cannot be hidden from another Vaishnava. And therefore Advaita Prabhu looked at him again and again. Advaita bolena, Bapa tumi kon jana, Vaishnava sannyasi tumi, enalaya mana. Advaita then said, Dear Prabhu, who are you? I think you are a Vaishnava sannyasi. The phrase Vaishnava sannyasi is explained as follows. The Karmi sannyasis follow the Smriti principles of the renounced order of life and accept Tridanda. In other words, they travel alone. The Jnani sannyasis accept Ekadanda, and while cultivating the study of Vedanta, they practice 6 siddhanas like peacefulness, self-control, and tolerance, and achieve their desired result. The Vaishnava sannyasis, however, completely give up both the desire for material sense enjoyment and the desire for renouncing sense enjoyment, and engage in the unalloyed service of the Lord Hari. The principles of giving up both material enjoyment and renunciation can be found in them. They are situated in the conception found in Sri Bhagavatam. Etam satasya paramatma nistam adyasitam purvatam maharsibi aham tarisyami duranta param tamo mukundan gri nisevaya yama. I shall cross over the insurmountable ocean of nescience by being firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of Krishna. This was approved by the previous acharyas, who were fixed in firm devotion to the Lord Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By the mercy of Sri Madhavendra, Sri Advaita Prabhu was able to recognize his god brother. As the disciples of Sri Madhavendra Prabhu, Acharya Prabhu played the role of a householder, while Ishwarapuri played the role of a Vaishnava sannyasi. Therefore, Acharya did not take much time to recognize him as his god brother. Bolena Ishwarapuri Amis Sudradama Dekhi Bare Alina Tomara Charana. Ishwarapuri replied, I am lower than Sudra, I've come here simply to see your lotus feet. The word Shudra Dhamma, lower than a Sudra, is often read as Shudra Dhamma, lower than the lowest, by mistake. It is to be understood that when Sri Ishwarapuri referred to himself as Shuddha Dhamma, it was a sign of humility. A self-realized Vaishnava in particular never identifies himself as belonging to the worldly Vanashrama society. Sri Gaurasundara has instructed this to be the conditions. Sri Gaurasundara has instructed this to be this to the conditioned soul situated in the principle of Vanashrama by quoting the verses Naham Vipranacha Narar Patir and Trinadapi Sunichana. People traveling on the path of fruitive activities identify themselves according to the mundane castes divisions of Saukra by semen, Savitra by initiation, and Deksha by becoming a perfect Brahmana. The self-realized devotee of the Lord have no interest in such identification because they have already developed faith in topics of Hari. In particular, it is impossible for a traveler on the path of on the path of devotional service to maintain the conceptions of I and mine, which is one of the offenses in chanting the holy names of the Lord. Being conditioned, the human beings consider themselves as being under the tree of the three modes of nature. A person situated in the mode of goodness, surpassing the modes of passion and ignorance, displays the qualities of a Brahmana in his behavior and activities. When situated in the mode of goodness and passion, one displays the qualities of the Kshatriya. When one is situated in goodness and ignorance, he displays the qualities of a Vaishya. When one is situated in the mode of passion and ignorance, he displays the qualities of a Sudra. And when one is situated in ignorance, he displays qualities lower than those of a Sudra or those of a Malecha. In the Bhagavad Gita 4.13, the Supreme Lord has stated, according to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. According to this principle of dividing the varnas and the activities of the Sudras are devoid of all samskaras. The other three varnas of twice born are qualified to undergo all samskaras, but the Sudras are naturally bereft of all samskaras. They are qualified only for undergoing the samskara of marriage. Just as an absence of mundane pride is indicated by the use of the word Srinadati api Sunicha. The Vaishnavas who have given up pride in their varnas identify themselves as belonging to caste lower than Sudra. The Karmi and the Jnani sannyasis proudly declare themselves as the most exalted in the material world, but a Vaishnava sannyasis do not exhibit such mentality and external behavior. The Karmi sannyasis are nirasir, nirmanashriya, not offering anyone blessings or obeisances. The Jnani sannyasis proudly identify themselves as Narayana, but the Trinadi Vaishnava sannyasi, though respected by others as none different from Narayana, nevertheless says, Dasasmi, Dasosmi, I am a servant. He is devoid of mundane pride. Therefore, he does not beg people for prestige like the other sannyasis. But if the foolish people disrespect the Vaishnava sannyasis out of envy, then even ordinary Smriti Sartas prescribed atonement. Non-Vaishnavas sannyasis try to advance to the platform of adulterated Paramhamsa, but Vaishnava sannyasis are naturally situated on the Paramhamsa platform. Sri Puripad humbly replied that he came to see Sri Advaita Prabhu in order to worship his lotus feet. Another reading is Vipradama, or lowest of the Brahmanas. Bujiya Mukunda Eka Krishnera Charita Gati Gaite Lagila Ati Premerera Sahita. Understanding the situation, Mukunda began to sing a song about Krishna with great affection. Ye matra sunilena Mukundera Gite Padila Ishwara Puri Dali Prithivite. As the sound of Mukunda's singing entered his ears, Sri Ishwarapuri fell to the ground. The heart of Puripada was melted by the love-filled singing of Mukunda, and his body displayed ecstatic transformation of love. The shedding of artificial tears by pseudo Sampradaya members who imitate the transcendental position of the actual Vaishnava simply results in their being deprived of the devotees' associations. Realizing their ineligibility, persons whose hearts are still framed display artificial duplicitous emotions to attract people. This falls in the category of pretentious emotions. Nara Nayanera Jale Anta Nahi Kata Thana Puna Puna Bade Prema Dharara Payana. Incessant tears flowed from his eyes, and the waves of his love increased again and again. Aste Vyaste Advaita Tulila Nija Kole Sinchita Hela Anga Nayanera Jule Jale. Advaita Prabhu hastily took him in his arms, and his entire body became wet with tears. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Want to share anything, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. The two things which caught my eye was how the Vaishnava sannyasis are so humble that in their humility they considered themselves lower than the Sudras, while the sannyasis of the Ekadanti sannyasis of the impersonalists, they are so proud of their so-called sannyasas, and they're always looking for glorification. But actually, the Vaishnava sannyasis, they are the ones who are glorified, although they themselves consider themselves very fallen. That was one thing which caught my attention.
Yeah.
The long purpose. I couldn't. Sorry?
I said very deep purport.
Yeah, it's very deep purport, yes. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj's writing is very, very deep,
Yeah. Yeah. And then in the beginning, in the first long paragraph, long purport, he talk about the rasas, different rasas. And then he talk about the santaras.
Right.
Santaras is ras with neutrality.
Neutrality.
This is not a ras that is even considered by devotees, because there's no ras. even though it's a ras santaras, but there's no ras for the devotees. It's not juicy enough for the devotees.
But is there any reciprocation in the santaras or no?
No, that's why there's no reciprocation actually.
No reciprocation.
Actually, the other rasas, like in friendship, in
right,
Vatsalya, this is where devotees, they anyway, we're not qualified even to think about all this at our stage, but
right.
since it is there, we're talking about that. But for us, we should not even dare to think about all this right now. We have to
Right.
think, how do we chant good japa? This is our goal. And
Right.
then when we go beyond the the sadhana bhakti, as we say, the first stage is divided into two. Then once we go above the doing it as a duty. For example, when we do our japa every day, we wake up early because we have to. We wake up early. We take it like a goal. We have to do this 16 round. We have to finish it. Then when we finish, maybe we don't even look at the japa mala again. And now we are doing it mostly because of a sense of duty, or for those who have taken initiation, we had to chant the 16 round because we took a vow. But later, when the bhav arise, as we say, in the heart, then it becomes spontaneous. It's not become like nobody's forcing you. Then we're starting to develop in a different stage. Actually, for us right now, we have to focus, how do we chant nice round? And one day you will see yourself, maybe you're not forcing yourself to do it. It's natural, it's part of your life, and you want to do it. If you don't do it, there's something missing. Then there's an advancement, as we say. This is one of the symptoms. Then we chant in a way. Then we said, raganuga. You follow, somebody, in the pastime of Krishna. Anyway, those who have done Bhakti Sastri, they know about that, and those that will do Bhakti Sastri, they will learn about it. And anyway, for us right now, our goal is to chant good round, and hear very well what we chant. Okay, we won't go too much because the purport was a little long, and we'll continue. Somebody else want to read?
I can read, Prabhu.
Okay.
Samavarna nahe prema puna puna bade santoshe mukunda ucha kari shloka pade. The symptoms of ecstatic love continued to increase rather than diminish as Mukunda began to loudly recite appropriate verses. Dekhiya Vaishnava Sabha Premera Vikara Atula Anandamane Janmila Sabara. The Vaishnavas' hearts were filled with incomparable happiness as they saw their transformations of ecstatic love. Pache sabe chini lena Shri Ishwara Puri Prema dekhi sabe sanare hari hari. Later, when they learned that he was Ishwarapuri, the devotees all remembered Lord Hari. Ei Mata Ishwarapuri Navadvipa Pure Alakshita Bulena Chinite Kehanare. In this way, as Ishwarapuri wandered about the Navdvip in disguise, no one was able to recognize him. Deva Ekadina Prabhu Shri Gaura Sundara Padiya Aishena Apana Raghara Pathe Dekha Haila Ishwara Purisane Pratya Dekhi Prabhu Namaskaraila Apane. One day, as Sri Gaurasundara was returning home from school, by providence he met Sri Ishwarapuri. Seeing his eternal servant, the Lord offered him obeisances. The etiquette that household offers respects to the members of the renounced order of life is prescribed in the Dharma Shastras. As the Grihastha Brahman, Sri Gaurasundara duly offered obeisances to the Vaishnava sannyasi. Although Sri Gaurasundara is the Lord of the 14 worlds, and although he later enacted the pastime of accepting initiation from Ishwarapuri, in reality, Ishwarapuri was the servant of Sri Gaurasundara. Ati Anivarna Chaniya Thakura Sundara Sarva Mate Sarva Vilakshana Gunadhara. Vishambara's personal beauty was indescribable. He was the reservoir of all extraordinary qualities. यद्यपि ताहा न मर्म केहा नहीं जाने तथापि साध्वस केरे देखी सर्व जाने. Although people did not know his real identity, they nevertheless had great respect for him. चाहे न ईश्वर पुरी प्रभुर शरीरा सिद्ध पुरुषेरा प्रया परम गंभीरा. When Ishwarapuri saw Nimai's features, he could understand that Nimai was a most grave and exalted personality. The words Siddha Purushera Praya mean equal to a Mahabhagavat. One should not misunderstand the word Praya, or almost means that when Puri Pada saw Sri Gaurasundara, he did not even consider him as a Siddha Purusha. Rather, he understood that the Lord was just as Siddha Purusha was worshipable, and since the Lord accepted the mood of a devotee, he appeared as a Siddha Purusha. Jignasena tomara ki nama vipravara ki punthi padao pada konstane ghara. Ishwarapuri inquired, O best of the Brahmanas, what is your name? What are you studying and teaching, and where do you live? Very good. So here Prabhu straightforward that now it's in the village of Navdvip, people were not able to recognize Ishwarapuri, and one day, by the act of providence, he happened to meet his master, Ishwarapuri's master, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Lord of the 14 worlds, he is accepting initiation from Ishwarapuri. So he's playing that Leela. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also knows how to treat a sannyasi. So he's paying obeisances when he's the master, actual master. And then they describe that how beautiful Vishambara, or how beautiful Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looked, that his beauty cannot be described. And Ishwarapuri realized that he is a real Siddha Purush because he's come here in the form of a devotee. And he's not recognizing him as the Supreme Lord, but he knows that he's a Mahabhagavat, and he's very curious, and he's asking him his questions about his name and where does he live and what does he teach. That's all.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, one thing where we have to be careful also in that we can see in this passage that a devotee can be disguised. Even Ishwarapuri, he came in a disguised way, and nobody knew who he was. It's only when Mukunda was singing that, the bhav, the sweet voice of Mukunda and the meaning of those songs, kirtan, bhajan, whatever it was, touched his heart. Then he got into an ecstatic mood. This is how they have been able to know that he's a great devotee. Even Gadadhar Pandit made, anyway, we'll get into that later. The mistake of this identifying just by visual. When we look at somebody, we should not judge. This is what I'm trying to drill at. We should not judge anyone by their features. However they look, however way they talk, maybe they don't look educated, maybe they're not very handsome, but for us, we should see everybody, as a devotee, of course, as a soul first, and then as a devotee as well, because everybody is a devotee. There's only time that separates us. Those that is not a devotee of Krishna yet, but time will come when one day they will become a devotee. But we should not judge anyone on that aspect. Just like we saw here, nobody was judging him, and he also was not judging anyone. And this is how we made advancement, because what is the use for us to do all this puja, all this japa, and then in our mind we are judging others? Even people that are not, like, let's say we go to work, we see other people, maybe when we are among devotees, we respect devotees because we know they are devotees. But then when we see other people, we don't respect them. Then what is the use? This is a quality that we have to develop. Respect everybody, irrespective who they are. Of course, you know, there is a saying said that we have to see all living entities equal. Even Krishna said that in Bhagavad Gita. But of course, if you see a tiger, I will not go and hug a tiger, because a tiger will definitely, have a nice bite on me. But because he's a tiger, I won't go close to the tiger, but I respect him from far. Okay. Same thing as a person, maybe you don't know them, but don't judge. You respect every living entity. Okay. This is a very important point for everybody, so that when we put this little type of thing in our life, then we make little progress. Because we can become a show, just we pretend to be a great devotee, among devotees. But outside devotee circle, we are not so great. We're not living, we're not walk the talk, as we say. We say an acharya. Okay, we're not an acharya. Is you have to act this way as well. Okay, let's continue, and maybe we can do another set of, yeah, we have time. Somebody else want to read? Who else is on the call? Let's see.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Bharat Prabhu.
शेषे सबे बोली लेना निमाई पंडित तुम्ही से बलिया बड़ा आइला हर सीता. When the others replied, he is Nimai Pandit, Ishwar Puri joyfully said, so you are Nimai. Bhiksha nimantrana prabhu kari lena tane mahadare grihe lai chalila apane. The Lord invited Ishwar Puri for lunch and then respectfully brought him home. It is the duty of householder Brahmanas to invite Vaishnava sannyasis to their homes for lunch. Therefore, as an ideal householder Brahman, Gaurasundar invited Sri Puripad to his house for lunch. Krishnera Naivedya Sachi Kari Lena Ghiya Bhiksha Kari Vishnu Grihe Vasila Asiya. Mother Sachi prepared an offering for Krishna, and after honoring the prasad, Ishwar Puri sat in the temple room. After honoring Krishna prasad that had been cooked by Sachi, Ishwar Puripad sat in the temple room of Sachi's house. Krishnera prastava sab kahite lagila kahite Krishnera katha avashahaila. Therefore, Ishwar Puri became fully absorbed while describing topics of Lord Krishna. While discussing topics of Krishna, Ishwar Puri's spiritual senses became almost inert. He became intoxicated in the service of the Lord, as if he were directly situated in the spiritual world. These subtle and gross designations of conditioned souls who are averse to the Lord are obstacles on the path of realizing the kingdom of Vaikuntha. By discussing topic of Hari, such obstacles are surpassed. Apurva premera dhara dekhiya santosha na prakashe apanalo kiradina dosha. The Lord was satisfied to see his unprecedented symptoms of love, which he did not disclose due to people's unfortunate position. The words Din Dosha are explained as follows. Because of the conditioned soul's aversion to Lord Hari, they are cheated of the wealth of service attitude. Therefore, they are called Din or Kripan, poor or miserly, not Brahman. The Vaishnavas do not reveal their good fortune to the conditioned souls. The hearts of those who make a show of the hearts of those who make a show of Vaishnavism to impress people are full of duplicity. Seeing the disqualification of ordinary people, Vaishnavas do not allow them to know the symptoms of their worship or the characteristics of their service. Because the Prakrit Sahajiyas claim to be Vaishnavas, they cannot recognize pure devotees. In their first encounters with Sri Rai Ramanand and Sri Pandarik Vidyanidhi, respectively, Sri Pradyumna Mishra and the residents of Navadvip foolishly considered them as attached to material enjoyment. We'll see in the 16th chapter of this book that a pseudo Brahman was bitten by a snake charmer simply for imitating Sri Thakur Haridas. Since the devotees who relish love of God do not exhibit their loving sentiments either in the marketplace or to the materialistic Sahajiyas, the Prakrit Sahajiyas consider such pure devotees of the Lord to be sense enjoyers and thus drown in mire of offenses. Because this evil practice was going on in the world, Sri Puripad, though a Vaishnava sannyasi, did not exhibit transformations of love in the dress of a sannyasi. Masakata Gopinatha Acharyera Ghare Rahila Ishwara Puri Navadvipa Puri. Ishwarpuri stayed for a few months in Navadvip at the home of Sri Gopinath Acharya. Gopinath Acharya was a resident of Navadvip, the son-in-law of Maheshwar Visharad, who lived in Vidyanagar, and the brother-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Vidya Vachaspati. In the opinion of some, he was the incarnation of Lord Brahma, as described in Gaura Ganodesh Deepika. Gopinath Acharya Nama Brahmagneyo Jagatpatihi Nava Yuhetu Ganito Yas Tantra Vidhivihi. Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe, who is understood by the knowers of the Tantras as one of the 9 expansions of Godhead, has appeared as Gopinath Acharya. In the opinion of others, he was Ratnavali Sakhi of Raja. As stated in Gaura Ganodesh Deepika, Pura Pran Sakhi Yasin Namna Ratnavali Vaje Gopinatha Khyak Akarrayo Nirmal Tvena Vishrutaha. Ratnavali, the Pran Shakti of Raj, has now appeared as the pure learned Gopinath Acharya. Since Puripad came in the disciplic succession of the senior Vaishnava Sri Madhva Muni, he is included in the Brahma Sampradaya, which is one of the 4 authorized Sampradayas. As a subordinate Vaishnava lives in the home of his Guru, Puripad lived a few months in Navadvip in the house of Gopinath Bhattacharya, the incarnation of Lord Brahma. Sabe bada ullasita dekhite tahane Prabhu o dekhite nitya chalena apane. Everyone was overjoyed to see him, and the Lord would also regularly go to visit him. गदाधर पंडितेरा देखी प्रेम झला बड़ प्रीत वासे ताने वैष्णव सकला. Seeing Gadadhar Pandit's seeing Gadadhar Pandit's tears of love, all the Vaishnavas felt great affection for him. Shishu haite samsare vi rakta bada mane Ishwara puri o sneha karina tahane. As he was detached from worldly life since childhood, Ishwar Puri also felt similar affection for him. Gadadhar Panditere Apanar Krita Punthi Padayena Nama Krishna Lilamrita. He had Gadadhar Pandit study a book that he had written named Krishna Lilamrit. Sri Ishwar Puripad composed or compiled the book Sri Krishna Lilamrit, which he taught to Sri Gadadhar Pandit Goswami, as he considered the boy worthy of affection. Haribol. Can you hear me? Haribol.
Tarang Prabhu, you're on mute.
Yeah. Do you want to share anything, Prabhu?
I wanted to say something, but yeah. So in text 94, it says that subtle and gross designation of conditioned souls who are averse to the Lord are obstacles on the path of realizing the kingdom of Vaikuntha. And by discussing topics of Hari, such obstacles are surpassed. So, glorifying Lord's name and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we can come over these falsely gross designations, like we glory, sometimes we have tendency to glorify ourselves, okay, like I do this many japas, and so I am advanced and so forth. So by chanting Hari's name, we come over of these false designations. Yeah, Rest, you can go ahead, probably. I'm not good at explaining things, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. And as you can see, even Chaitanya Nimai Pandit at that time, he saw Ishwara Puri and he invited him at home. And the importance of receiving devotees at home. I mean, inviting and serving is very, very, very important. As we know the pastime of Narad Muni, when he was still very young, at the age of 5, his mother invited the Brahmana to spend, the time when during the rainy season, and during that time they serve the Brahmana, they cook, they clean, and they serve them. Even the little boy was having the remnant of the devotees, and this is how he became Narad Muni. This is a power of serving devotees. Of course, these Brahmana, there was very, very advanced devotees. And nowadays, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we also have association of very, very nice devotees. And, whenever there is a sannyasi or exalted devotee come, that's why we also try to do program at our house, in our house, like we rotate the program so that everybody get an opportunity to serve. Because it's only by receiving and serving the devotees that we will make advancement. Because, you know, when we chant our japa, we are asking for service. Of course, then what do we do as service? You know, there is no temple close. We cannot go to the temple every day to the service. Of course, at home we have deities. This is why it's important to have deities at home as well. Of course, if we don't have deities, we can have a picture. Then we do our devotional service like that. We serve Krishna in this way. But Krishna said that those who come to me directly are not my devotees. Those who serve my devotees are my devotees. I mean, Krishna doesn't want our worship in a way directly. He wants us to serve his devotees. This is what he wants. Of course, now to find his devotees can be rare, but you know, as we say, if there's a way to find jewel, you know, people has all type of instrument nowadays to find out what type, where the gold are hidden. That means we have to find devotees and serve them. This is how we'll make progress in our spiritual life. Okay, and it's already 55. We have 5 minutes. I will stop the recording, and then those